Okay, today we're going to look at our very first lesson, which is estimating crowds. So the first question that this asked was how many people we could fit comfortably into a 5x5 box. And for both classes, it turns out that 9 people can fit comfortably into that 5x5 box. I'm going to write this as 25 feet squared, since 5 times 5 equals 25. So we had a 5x5 box, there's 25 square feet, we fit 9 people in it. So what question 2 here is asking us is to use this. Wrote it as a proportion, so 9 over 25. It wants us to use this to figure out the size of a crowd that is 10 feet deep on both sides of a street, standing along a 1 mile section of the parade route, and gives us a conversion there. Our big word right there is the word both, as we're going to use both sides of the street. So in a case like this, I would recommend drawing a picture. So this is where our people are going to be standing. It's 20 feet deep. Actually, it's going to be 10 feet deep. And then it tells us it's 1 mile across, or this 5,280. So I'm going to write 5,280 feet. The reason I'm going to do that is that I need to have the same units. If we're using 10 feet, then it makes more sense to convert our miles into feet than vice versa. So what we need to do first is figure out what our surface area is of where the people are going to be standing. So all I need to do is just take our two sides, multiply those together. So I get 52,800 feet squared. So that will represent the surface area, or how much room that the people can stand in. If we need to figure out how many people, or if we need to estimate the size of how many people can fit in this crowd, there's a few things we can do, but we're going to use this ratio that we did on our own. So the easiest way to do it is just to set up a nice easy proportion and solve for x. So if I know that 9 people can fit in 25 square feet, then I need to figure out how many people can fit in 52,800 feet. So what we're going to do here is just solve for x. So we're going to cross multiply and divide and come up with an answer. And when we cross multiply, we're going to get 19,008 people. Now we need to be careful. This isn't our final answer, as it's asking for both sides of the street. So I just need to simply multiply this number by 2. When I do that, I'm going to get 38,016 people. So this is how many people we can estimate are going to be in that crowd. Alright, so when we look at number 3, it tells us that one rule for estimating crowds is that each person occupies 5.5 square feet, and it wants us to use this to estimate the size of the crowd if it was walking down a similar route that is a 1 mile section. So this problem is going to be even easier. All we have to do now is we need to take our square footage. So one side of the street is going to take up 52,800 feet squared. What's very nice about this is that it tells us that each person occupies 2.5 square feet. So if we can figure out how many people can fit in this 52,800, we need to divide by the space that they take up. So we're going to divide these two numbers together, and when we do that, we get 21,120 people. The thing we got to be careful on is that it's still going to be on both sides of the street. So I need to multiply this number by 2, and I'm going to get 42,440 people. So if each person takes up this much square footage, this is how many people that we can use or how many can estimate. And we can also see that this is going to be more people can fit using, if they only take up this compared to the ratio that we used in the problem before. Okay, our next problem wants us to use basically the same method, but this time we're going to use the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and wants us to use that to figure out how many people could attend there. So if we look this up, we're going to find out that it is 2.5 miles long, and then we're also going to see that they want us to have this at 20 feet squared, so 20 feet deep in terms of how many people can be at the parade. Actually, this is going to be 25 feet. My bad there. So it's going to be 25 feet. So we got to use the same ratio of 9 people to 25 feet squared. So that's what it wants us to use here in B, using our original 5x5 exercise. And then in C, we're going to use that same 2.5 square feet to determine how many people can fit that way. So if you haven't done this problem before, I want you to pause and work this out. And then when you unpause, I'll have all the math done. I'll go over and explain it. So if you haven't done this already, go ahead and pause the video so you can try this on your own and get some practice with this method. All right, so here's the answers that we got if we go using our method. So we're going to look at B first. So we're going to have to change this miles over into feet, just like the problem before. After we do that, we go and get our square footage. So that's how much square footage that people could stand in during the parade. Then we're going to go and set up our proportion, cross multiply. So we multiply that by 9 divided by that 25. So we get this, both sides of the street. So that's where the 2 comes from. And then we get a final answer of 237,600 people. If we go with C, that's the easier method. All we have to do is take the original square footage, so that right there over to here, divided by the 2.5 square feet. We get this number here, multiplied by 2, again for both sides of the street, and we get 264,000 people. So this lesson wraps up our first one, that being on estimating crowds. Which your big takeaway is that there's 2 ways to do it. If we have a proportion, like we have here, we can set up a proportion and solve for X to figure out how many people could be there. Or C, if we know how many people occupy, how much one person occupies, how much space, we can simply divide and get our answer there.